All right. Hello. Welcome everyone to the season 75 Simulation Basketball Association entry draft presentation. I am here today once again with Tomato and we're going to bring you all the latest news and the future or shaping up the future of the SBA landscape. What's going on with you, Tomato?
Hi everyone, excited to be here again. We have a great draft ahead of us. I'm good, you're good. Let's get it going.
Yes, so as you can see, if you can't see, currently we have the draft board, or the draft order rather, up there on the screen. With the number one overall pick, it will be New York Rail selecting, and they also have three additional first round picks in this entry draft. What do you make of that fact, that New York having such a amassed such a amount of first round picks?
Not a common strategy. Usually teams hesitate to go so heavy into one draft, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe they trade away some of it for future picks. But if they don't, they'll have a bunch of young players ready to ball and grow.
Yeah, and sometimes you can even end up in a situation like this with protected draft picks and sort of on accident, but indeed with picks 1, 8, 10th, and 11th, Rail will be an interesting team we get go back to often in this presentation. Then also the surprise package of the lottery, of course, via the St. Louis Battalion, Houston Ravens are selecting second and they were appended in the SBA playoffs recently, but this couldn't be. Well, I guess it could be one spot better, but this couldn't be much better of a prize for Houston, can it?
Oh, for sure. It seems to me they somehow always end up lucking or planning into this. Uh, Almost like a deja vu to last season, honestly.
Yeah, hopefully, or well, I guess for some people, hopefully, every season won't be us talking about this fact how Houston ends up in the top five. Speaking of the top five, we have rounding off Charlotte Aviators picking third, Miami Vice at fourth, and Oklahoma City Rampage falling two spots in the lottery to pick fifth. The rest of the pick order, of course, you can see it on the screen, but we'll go through them one by one as the selections are in. The selections, the players available, there's a vast cavalcade of highly talented and interesting young prospects, but who do you make out to be the top three options in this entry draft, Tomato?
Well, it's hard to look past John Devon, the WCP rookie. Prototypical big, great scorer, great rebounder. I'm betting he'll go top three. My personal favorite though is Dedrick Smith from a great agency. Also very high in TPE, very good big man. Excited to see where he ends up.
We'll get into the selections, and it's indeed the New York Rail picking at number one. No draft day shenanigans or trades coming your way. And I am glad to announce they are indeed selecting Jonah Devon. Jonah Devon, like you said, a big man center from the Oakland Hounds and of the DD of Ice agency. Highly skilled on the inside and on the rebounding front. But what do you make of this fit for the future of the New York Rail then?
The Rail with a lot of picks in this draft, they're looking for a couple of things. They're looking for the future, but they also want to put some players ready to go right now. Pair up with Gunnar Gonzalo and Thomas Talley. Devon is a great pick. He's an amazing rebounder, very high potential. Needs to work on his athletic side a bit, but seeing what he did in the SBDL, I'm seeing a lot of accolades in this guy's future.
Yeah, as you can see on the graph there on the top left, jumping is the lowest attribute of Devon's athletic profile, but um, actually, I'm not 100% sure if deity has carryover to use for this player, but regardless. That'll get shored up in no time, and I'm sure New York will be glad to have a well-respected that's a joke for you and only you, Didi, but a well-respected user as their number one overall selection. Moving on to the second selection in the season 75 entry draft, we do have indeed the Houston Ravens selecting their man, Trevelyan, hopefully that's correct, Pagano. And Trevelyan Pagano is, don't call me Carson's point guard / shooting guard player, 6'5", out of the Jurupa Valley Jackals, managed to average a triple-double over the season there in the SBDL, and was a very interesting and very notable player, one of my favorites of this past season of developmental league basketball. Do you think Pagano has not only a future, but do you think he can be a contributor immediately with the Houston Ravens program, as so many rookies tend to be?
I think he has the Houston DNA in him. He's great, high potential, a lot of TPE, built just like Houston likes them. Great defense, passing, freeze, some rebounding, just a utility guy to stuff the sheets, support the main guys, and just fill in all the holes. He's the perfect Houston player, really. If you've seen any draft where Houston had picks, this is the type of guy they go for.
Yeah, especially with players such as Count Olaf already in the fold, you can see the makings of a traditional or semi-traditional, like a funneling strategy, where you have a lot of supporting players younger than the star scorer and offensive big man. And Pagano, of course, we know Carson very well, and we know his knack and eye for finding the best situation for not championships maybe, but what he wants for his player, and I believe he can have a bright future as well in Houston. With the third overall selection then, the Charlotte Aviators are selecting Zoltan Wu out of the Portsmouth Hydra. Zoltan is a shooting guard / small forward player, a hefty 400 pounds, as is very common for our 6'7" fellas. Kevin 6 player agency, and on the graph there you can see there's a high emphasis on a couple of things, which are 3-point shooting, perimeter defense, quickness, and then rounding it up with some fouling there. So a ready-made fifth starter, or even a six-man, but I guess that's a little bit wasteful. So I would say a ready-made fifth starter for any SBA team. What do you think about the Wu pick here for Charlotte?
Honestly, a very similar player to Pagano. He's an amazing worker, doing all the work that's needed to keep a team running, you know? He shoots the freeze, he defends on a very high level, he's plenty quick. He's just a perfect fit for Charlotte right now. If you look at the roster, they have their top guys, they have Martin Bullrice, they have Triple C. They have players ready to carry, they just need the support. And Zoltan Wu is exactly the guy to give them that support.
Yes, and Zoltan Wu, of course, with a high diet or a strong diet of 3-pointers, was very efficient for his 22 points per game and playing the 2-3 positions in the SBDL. Then we apparently have a trade to announce here. So the Houston Ravens are trading with the, wait, that says Ravens, but that's also the Jokers. So just gonna think for 2 seconds. Oh, right. In 3 turns of proofreading between 3 different people, it indeed slipped our radar that it says Ravens receiving here, but it is by the logo. So Las Vegas Jokers receive Miami's first round selection here, the 4th overall selection, and Miami receive Big Papa Flappa, who is a talented point guard player from the Orbiting Death Agency. What's your immediate reaction here to this draft? Are the Vice going for it, or is this more of a salary maneuver to have different ways of spending their money on a talented player?
I think on the end of Las Vegas, they needed to shed some salary. They were way over the cap. They had to get rid of someone. They chose Big Papa Floppa. Vice will surely benefit from that. I'm not sure if they're ready to go for it, as you may, but they do have a lot of players. Maybe a depth approach will work with Papa Floppa as the main point of that squad. But I think it's a smart move for Las Vegas. They have Malik Washington to still keep the spirit of the team going as a year 8 peak center. And whoever they pick at 4th is sure to be a great part of a great team, you know.
But let's see what the Las Vegas Jokers do with the 4th overall selection. They are selecting Deshaun Waters Jr. Out of the Belmont Barons. Oh, that's a good picture of Glenn Davis there. A very talented scoring big man by the player agency Windows. As you can see here on the screen, 38 points per game in the SBDL last season, 6'11", and at 483 TP already, so that's a very respectable number. Do you think a player like this will fit into the starting lineup come next season for the Jokers, or do you think it's more of a slow program to really have Waters Jr. take the reins from Malik Washington when the time comes?
Considering that LVJ also has a young boy SBA on the squad, I think Deshaun will spend at least that first season playing from the bench. But he is surely the guy who's meant to replace Malik in the future for this team. He's a great guy. If you know me, you know I love efficiency, and he's a very efficient scorer. He's great at getting stops. Not much of a rebounder, but he doesn't need to be. He knows what he's good at, and he does it well. And it will be interesting to see him, you know, learn from a veteran such as Malik Washington. They have a lot of young blood on their team, and then an old Washington. So it will be an interesting squad come next year. And hopefully Deshaun will show what he's worth.
Yes, and in a situation like you mentioned, there's no shame in sort of taking it slow with such a star player as Malik Washington playing up front, and then a lot of youth and talent slightly older than you on the rest of the depth chart. It's a role to really grow into and reap the rewards later in your career if you're patient and everything falls into place for Las Vegas. Sure. Moving on to the 5th overall selection, then. Actually, moving on to the trade alert here before the 5th overall selection, we have the Oklahoma City Rampage trading away the 5th overall pick to Boston, and Boston are receiving in, or OKC are receiving in trade then the veteran players Tobias Garrett and Devontae Reigns. Where do you think this leaves OKC then, as we can now see the immediate rewards for them compared to Boston?
It's an interesting move for OKC, as most of their squad right now is pretty young. And they're grabbing 2 regressing stars, surely, but also very old players. I'm interested to see if that's everything that they have in store, or if they're planning to bring in maybe a big guy in free agency post-draft. But it's pretty clear that on the Boston side of things, it's a rebuild.
All right. So on to the 5th overall selection. Boston will be selecting Stone Cold Steve Austin. Well, Austin. Yeah, all right. Oh yeah, there's the picture even. Exactly the guy. Austin's Racing Hell. Fonzie, good games. Actually, I'm not sure if that's for good game, but you know, we're on the internet and his Discord is pretty much for good game. Center power forward from the Toxin Hyenas. 6'11", just won the Defensive Player of the Year award for SBDL, if I'm not mistaken. So, as you can tell by the graph there, a lot of investment and talent into those defensive attributes, including a bit of 3-point shooting there. And what do you make of this then for Boston? Trading away Reigns and Garrett for a player like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
It's an interesting pick because it's clear that Boston is rebuilding. They're starting from scratch. And typically in these situations, teams look to get the star scorer first and then build around him. But here, Boston makes the move to grab a defense first big man, only really shooting threes on offense, which is of course no bad thing, as he more than makes up for it with his defensive prowess. But it's interesting to see who becomes the main guy in Boston in the years, because Stone Cold Steve Austin, great player, but not a star scorer.
Yeah, this is something I'm gonna touch on real shortly, but this is something we have talked often with Nepto on our older podcast, where you can go this way as well, where you select a defensive stalwart who's only going to be like a wowing MVP candidate in year 8 and is not going to take too many touches and will fit any team early in their career. So then you can have that sort of flexibility in bringing in the star players who already have offense going for them when they join the team, be it via the draft or free agency later. So this is I like this sort of way of going about it, and it just might mean that Boston will be, if they will be in the real depths of the rebuild, that they will seem even worse for a little bit than they actually are, as a lot of their used and allocated TP will be into defense rather than offense. But yeah, I agree. It's a good pick. Then with the 6th overall selection, the Toronto Thunderbirds are selecting Dion Fairchild. A warm welcome back to Wally into the SBA universe with, I guess it's... well, I can't say for sure, but some time off away from the SBA. Center power forward also of the Portsmouth Hydra. Wally's Dion Fairchild averaged 28.9 points per game and 12.9 rebounds per game. So a all-around inside interior force. With Jabarkapa already in the fold, actually no longer in the fold in Toronto. So yeah, that makes it even better. With Jabarkapa swiftly moved away from the fold in Toronto, will Fairchild be the more, what's the word? Not balanced, but a more steady centerpiece of Toronto's future then?
I think that's the goal here. Toronto has a couple of stars on the roster, but they're all on the guard spots. Both Tom Baker and Dirty Banana play from the guard. They do not have any big men on the roster currently, so Dion here is going to be their future. And it's a great pick, honestly. He's a prototypical big man. He scores, he rebounds a bit, he plays some defense. If he grows in a bit to his role, it's gonna take a while. Obviously, these types of players are high potential, but they take a while to get going. I have a lot of faith that he is going to be a great cornerstone for Toronto's future.
Yeah, and Wally with a history of making a variety of versatile but highly successful players, especially after year 5 in their careers. I hope to see a lot of the same in the future for Dion Fairchild. Then with the 7th overall selection, the Pittsburgh Ironmen are picking up Bunny McBride of the Tucson Hyenas, a 7-foot center, 155 pounds only. Oh yeah, I get it. Yeah, of the Woog Player Agency. So there's actually, is that a real character? Like, is that a person who's called Bunny McBride in the picture? Do you know?
I have no clue.
All right, we'll check on it later. Of course, all of the American contemporary pop culture, not over here in Europe, especially Northern and Eastern Europe. But highly efficient in the past season of SBDL basketball with 40 points per game, 66.6 through shooting. I believe also won the MVP trophy for the developmental league. Feels like a question I'm asking every season, be it on a broadcast or in a chat box, but what's this do for the future of the Pittsburgh Ironmen then?
Well, Bunny is best scorer in this year's draft, both volume and efficiency wise. Pittsburgh is a pretty empty team at the moment, so they'll have a lot of space to showcase their talents in the years to come as a team starts to grow around Bunny, I would assume. I think it's a great pick to build around, a great center with great scoring acumen from a well-respected agency, rather new, but still well respected. I think Pittsburgh just has to start building around Bunny. I think that's the future here. That's the move that they're going for.
Best of luck to Bunny in Pittsburgh, and we're gonna move on to the 8th overall selection. The New York Rail are selecting and keeping also their 8th overall selection. They're selecting Ao Okiki from the Thunder Bay Resistance. Before we started, I mentioned to Tomato how ugly of a picture of Nicolas Batum that is in a Clippers jersey and leaning weirdly to the side. But what's not ugly is what Okiki was able to get done in his career in Thunder Bay. A maximum versatility player with all sorts of talent, 3-point scoring, passing, rebounding, defense, high quickness, and a monster potential with the floor already on display. What's your immediate reaction to Rail bolstering then with Okiki as well?
I love this pick. Okiki is a very non-typical player. Plays from the wing, SF and PF, and they not only play hard defense, rebound, but they also play make, which is rare on that position, especially from a rookie. I think Okiki will provide some much needed defense on that side of the court for them, and I think it's a great pairing with their number 1 pick in Devon, who's more of an offensive rebounder. Anytime a utility guy gets picked, it gets me going. It's just the type of player I love, and I think it's a very very good pick for Rail as they build their future.
Yeah, I also love this player type, and I will likely grow to love this player once the SBA career unfolds further. Unfolding further is the draft, and we have another trade to announce. Boston are also receiving a 9th overall selection here from the Ocelots, who are getting Boston's first round pick 2 drafts from now. It's difficult to speculate so sort of far into the future, but you think there's a bust potential for Boston where their season 77 first might be as valuable or more valuable than this 9th overall pick here?
So there's always potential. Always when dealing with draft picks,
And
you never
lottery,
really
yeah.
know. Yeah, but the GM here is showing confidence that he believes that 2 seasons from now, his pick will be worth less, and
Or
he's also
useless
going
to
all
them.
in on a rebuild.
Yeah.
Yeah, or just he just assuming that it will be useless to him 2 seasons from now, which is not a stupid move when you consider that they're going all in on a rebuild this time, grabbing their second pick here.
But let's see what they select at ninth overall. It is indeed America Flags the third. Famous player. Some could say he was prophesized. Yeah, that's the word. I'm not gonna repeat it. Many moons ago, 4 years ago now, more than 4 years ago, as the future goat of SBA basketball, and Flags is now here of the J Hattie 8th agency, 6'11", 400 pounds, also a interior defender type player with some 3-point shooting. You must be excited for Boston's future now that they sort of shored up their potential here, and
I think the Minutemen are showing their type. They grabbed not one but two defensive big men in the same draft, which is interesting as usually teams try to have a scorer on the big man side of things. But Flags here is also a defensive stalwart. I think in the future, Boston will have a very nice time getting offensive-minded free agents to join them, uh, considering the Twin Tower setup they're getting here. It's an unorthodox way to build a team, and I like it.
yeah, and I believe it'll serve as a nice bridging into the later parts of Flags and Steve Austin's career if they can formulate a plan to keep both of the players under contract for long until they can diversify their game and become offensive stars or two-way stars themselves. So yeah, I like I said, I do like this very much, shoring up their future with familiar players or familiar users and good player archetypes. With the 10th overall selection, then the New York Rail are keeping a hold of their third first round pick here and selecting Derek Smith. That's a good picture of Marcin Gortat there. I'm sure you'll like it as well.
Polish Hammer.
6'11", a power forward slash center from the Oakland Hounds of the Overlord, the 8 player agency, a star scorer alongside Jonah Devon, who I curiously thought to be a better pick going into this season in my the Big Three game for SBAO, but less of that, the better. Well, I guess he was still good, but I believe Jonah ended up being better in the game points. How do you like the fit of Smith in New York? Any players that you think could have been better here, or are you content with Smith for New York here?
I think this pick here is talent over fit, and I'm not surprised because, frankly, I'm shocked to see Smith fall all the way down to 10. He's a top 3 TPE player. He's an amazing big man. It will be interesting to see who ends up starting for the Rail this year, as they will have surplus on their big man slots. But honestly, with Smith on the board, taking at 10, I don't know why you would not take him, even if it will cost you a bit of work later to figure out how to make the team gel together with so many big men on the board.
Yes. And instead of my previously planned game of making a tomato act as he's guessing who the Rail are going to select with their consecutive pick here, 11th, I'm just going to throw it in and we can talk about the next player who is Brian Austin of the 11th overall selection. Austin of Hey, that's two Austins in the draft. Pretty cool, man. Thunder Bay Resistance, Wheaties, very well liked user of long renown in the partner league EFL and also been around the SBA a couple of times. Shooting guard / point guard player. I think this is finally rounding out the draft with 4 picks for New York Rail, unless trades and stuff like that happens later. Do you think with Austin they cap off a success of a draft, or do you think they could have had someone still left on the board instead? In your opinion, would you have liked someone else like Wick or McBuckets or Maple Dogwood instead?
Honestly, it's a tough one. I think Brian Austin is a great player. I'm just honestly surprised that the Rail kept all these picks. Because I believe with taking Austin, they will now have 8 players on their team. Something will have to give, you know. These guys are young, but I don't imagine many of them will be happy getting delegated to the bench. I think Austin is a great scoring guard. It's very efficient for an SBDL guard as well, shooting 60% true shooting. I'm very interested to see where the Rail goes, if they will make some trades in the remaining off season, or if they're just gonna go ahead with this squad. Because honestly, even if there was no one on the team, these 4 guys, I would be pretty confident as a young core to grow up and make a lot of noise in the league. But you know, it's not an empty team. There's already guys there. I think it's a big draft for the Rail.
Yeah, and you didn't directly answer the question, but that also brought to my mind that maybe there is something with McBuckets, Wick, players like that they would have not taken too kindly to being relegated to 20 minutes a game or even less than 20 minutes a game. Whereas maybe there's some advanced plans going on with the rotations, with the plans of the first season for all these rookies that wouldn't have fit as well with what McBuckets and Johnny Wick would have liked to do. So that could also be a reason to explain why those players weren't selected by the Rail at any point here at 8, 10 to 11. Or America flags for that matter, actually. Then we're going to move on to the 12th overall selection. And speaking of 50 McNuggets, well, I guess we only have 3 of them. One of them outside of basketball completely. Oh yeah, that's a beautiful player render. Mr. Splashman, shooting guard smash. Yeah, we'll go with smash. Small forward, 6'7" out of the SBTL champion Henderson Honey Badgers. OKC now with 2 players added via the trade earlier and now also a rookie in the later parts of the draft. By my intel, they would have 8 players with all these aboard. How do you see McBuckets' chances of breaking the starting lineup?
I honestly don't know because it's hard for me to judge what OKC is planning to do.
Yeah.
Anytime you see a team stock up on so many players, it's questions like, are they moving on from someone? Are they trading someone? What's the end game here? You know, is McBuckets? You know, his name says it all, and OKC knows what they're getting. It's a great scoring guard, great player. They usually this type of play usually has a tough starting out in the SBA. But maybe if he ends up playing some time on the bench, it will be the time that he needs to really keep up at the same level that he put on in the SBDL. And it will be interesting to see the direction OKC goes right now. Because they cannot keep all these guys. Just the cap will not work when they all get older. So some moves will be happening. Keep an eye out on that.
Yeah. Well, for my player, I'm gonna be in the regression bank at 700 to 800 TP range, but still, it's like 2, 3, 4, and now 5 other players. So, yeah, for 6 players, it's not all gonna fit. Not at all. Then, with the 13th overall selection, the Charlotte Aviators once again on the board, and off the board goes Johnny Wick. Johnny is a small forward slash power forward. That actually correct? Yeah, yeah, I think it is. 6'7", 225 pounds. So high up in the TP rankings, with 465 TP by the time of this player card being made. Such a talented and versatile offensive player with a lot of capabilities to turn into a star by the mid-late points of his career. Charlotte must be very happy with this one. What do you think?
I think Johnny is a very efficient wing scorer who is also a quite capable passer, which is not a very common type of player in our league.
Especially as a rookie, yeah.
Especially as a rookie and on these positions. It makes me all the more interested to see how he develops in the pro level. I think he has great athletic potential, and I think Charlotte got a good one if they can keep his ethics up. If you know what I'm talking about.
No, I like him. But yeah, just managing personalities within the team and managing expectations is the key, because yeah, that's what the trust is being built upon. And with all the TP in the world, if you don't like your team or your teammates or whatever, then it's no good, of course. So I sort of get what you're saying, but I just put it more eloquently, I guess.
Yep, I agree completely. You just said what I was thinking.
Yes. Then we'll hop right into the 14th overall selection. Is Marcus Wood. A fan favorite of the Discord population, and such a beautiful picture there. He's got his own team. I guess that's the Drew League discontinued edition. Wood of the Quad City Asylum, point guard slash shooting guard player, highly talented passer, and a good 3-point shooter of the player agency K. Hunnen, man. Seattle, not commonly, I guess, talked about, like not a center of attention all that often, but here getting a talented rookie player. What's the expectations for Wood in Seattle?
I think he's a very specialized type of player. Seattle as a team already kind of has all the pieces they want, and Wood here is just a great addition to the younger part of the roster. A bit of a future-looking type of pick. I like it honestly. I think he has the potential to put in work and be efficient and useful right from the bat due to his extreme specialization. You know,
Yeah.
he knows what he's good at. He's gonna do it, and he will be good at it.
Yeah. An excellent backup option for Kevin Böller in Seattle. And yeah, only thing that's bad about that is that, of course, you wouldn't like your best players off the court that often. But yes, I'm glad for Seattle getting a fan favorite, and I hope that the high character, personality, and fun continues in the professional game as well for Marcus Wood. Then we have a blockbuster. With the 15th overall selection, the Vancouver Wolverines select pass. No pick here for the Wolverines, who are in the middle of their SBA championship contention plans and are not looking to add any salary, which sends us to the 16th overall selection, where the Brooklyn Bullets select Evo Reincarnated. And Evo Reincarnated is another Tucson power forward slash center big man, the legendary 1245 player agency. I very much enjoy that Canadian Maple Leaf talent graph we have there. But yeah, how do you see Reincarnated fitting into Brooklyn, and what, if anything, does this change in Brooklyn's plans, do you think? Of course, you are part of the Brooklyn Bullets with your player Damian Wilk, so you have a.
Yeah, the Bullets have their starting five pretty much locked in. Evo will not be starting, as Brooklyn was looking for a sixth man to kind of shore up and back up their main guys. And I think Evo is a great pick for that. He's a bit of a do-it-all big man, not quite as specialized as some of the earlier picks. But I think he's a great piece to have backing up your main guys. I think he's a great guy to lead the charge when the bench is playing. You know.
Yes, and of course, very well thought out, as Evo Reincarnated fits the salary bracket. Here we see on the picture that it's 399 TP, but already by the time of next week, Evo is at 415 TP and improving tremendously every passing week. So yeah, with the Brooklyn Bullets also on the cusp of challenging for another SBA championship, Evo will fit into their plans excellently to provide depth behind players such as Graves and Coffey. The 17th overall selection is in, and the Arizona Inferno are selecting Maple Dogwood. Maple Dogwood, famous, I guess, left cousin of Dogwood Maple. You can see on the screen here, of course, it's a Dogwood Maple user Dogwood Maple's player character. Of the Saskatchewan wideout, a small forward slash shooting guard player. I would have expected a lot more from Dogwood in the SBDL season here, but the wideout underwhelmed a lot of my expectations, at least. Do you think it's anything to do with Dogwood, or is it just like, do you feel fine with Maple Dogwood's build and only being picked at 17th overall here?
I think the Inferno are pretty set in their core right now, so they're grabbing a young piece to learn on the bench and grow and form a part of the future. I do think that Maple needs to hit the gym a little bit. I find he's lacking in athleticism, which may have been what scared off some of the higher picking teams. But if he shows that up, and he has the potential there, he's not capped in any weird way. I can see him growing into a very, very good role. He's already quite efficient, honestly, with such low athletics. He nearly hit 60% true shooting. And not afraid to get dirty on the rebounds as well. He grabbed 10. I think he's a high potential and honestly low risk pick for Inferno here.
Yeah. Then with the 18th overall selection, the San Diego Corsairs select Losef Zikov. Reggie Evans making another appearance here on the SBA draft screens. Comrade Katz, 6'10", center slash power forward out of the Quad City Asylum. High blocking attributes, high post defense attributes already coming out of the Dev League. Zykov for Corsairs. Do you think Zykov can be a starter at the center position, or are the Corsairs looking further into the bag of drafts and free agency?
I think he may end up replacing Pufanen at power forward. I think the center is pretty set with Thomas Andrich
Yeah.
for the Corsairs. At the moment, Zykov is pretty raw as a prospect, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. He has his defense in place. He knows how to block. He's great in the post. If he cleans up his game uh, with everything else, I don't see a reason why he cannot grow into a true star. I think the Corsairs are just taking a raw prospect with a low pick, and it's pretty much no risk and possibly high reward if if it ends up being just a matter of some good coaching.
Yeah, I agree. And there's also that future potential of becoming a player like Keshawn Harris, if you remember, where it was all
Oh
just
yeah,
blocks at the start, and then with steady improvement, always earning TP. Then by year 7, year 8, you're like the seventh best big in the league, just without anyone noticing. So yeah, with steady improvement, there could be a real story in there. Then with the 19th overall selection, the Las Vegas Jokers select a Olympic gymnast, Olivia or Livy Dunn. And yeah, if someone's not hip to it, Livy Dunn is a filler, to the best of my knowledge. And then with the 20th overall selection, finishing the SBA entry draft for season 75, the Miami Vice are selecting Purple Panda. All right. Purple Panda, also a filler, just in case someone was wondering why my muted reaction was a muted reaction. But here on the screen now, you can see the full entry draft results for season 75. A lot of picks by New York Rail, like we were expecting and mentioned a couple of times, but there's also two very good selections by Charlotte Aviators in there. What's your quick rundown on who benefited the most and who, given the resources available to them, who do you think did best in the entry draft here?
I like Charlotte's picks. I like him very much. As usual, Houston did the best they could with what they had, and they had a lot, so they did very well. The Rail, I'm very interested to see where the Rail goes with these 4 picks and their overall situation right now, because they have a lot to play with. They have a lot of assets. I think Boston may look back at this draft and be pretty happy with it if they manage to secure guys alongside Steve Austin and Flags the third. Um, I think honestly, looking at this draft board, Pittsburgh only a single pick, but I think a very good one, snagging the best offensive player in the draft this year, grabbing that important piece to build around.
Yeah, my eye was
And
also drawn into the 7th overall pick pretty quickly because, for once, it's the pick above is bright red, which signifies danger, of course, and the Pittsburgh selection is nice and golden, so it almost feels like a gratuity thing. But yeah, like we talked earlier, I like McBride a lot, and McBride was very successful very early into the SBDL career. So Pittsburgh could really have something special on their hands here. But yeah, I guess I'm in line with what you were saying. The immediate congratulations go to Charlotte, then Houston, and of course New York. But then there's Boston, who benefited a lot, but in a very, very much long term view. Any other things you'd like to add before we go?
just one more time, still shocked Smith fell to 10th. It's a travesty. He should have been top 3.
Right. Well, just for 20 seconds, let's play the game they never play on ESPN. who would you take out of the top 3 then?
Personally, no shade thrown, I would take Smith before Devon.
Ah, all right. So we are in sync of what I expected of Smith before the start of the season and what I expected of Devon. Yes, all right. That's interesting to see. If you're listening this late into the presentation, make sure to weave that remark by Tomato into your draft day assignment to earn TP. Comment, like the video. Well, don't need to do that, but comment on who do you think is going to have a stronger career, and do you think Smith and Devon are going to be separated from each other later in their career, stuff like that. Any speculation, very much welcome. We like to see any sort of well, speculation in general. That's very fun to read always. But with that aside, everyone, if you're extra still listening, make sure to check into the SBA forums announcement section and go fill out the 75 seasons celebration writing opportunity, where you can earn a full week of extra TP completely uncapped on top of your other tasks. And yeah, that's 12 uncapped TP on top of your other tasks that you can get for writing a reminiscent article on historical topics or other retrospective stuff. But yeah, this has been great today. Thank you very much for Tomato for always being a very trustworthy and, this time at least, well prepared analyst for the entry draft.
Thank you for having me here. I enjoyed doing this very much. I hope we meet again next season.
Yes, and also if you are interested in participating in stuff like this in any form, live or unlive, with written and or submitted voicemail, stuff like that, just send me a message. That's Okochestar. And yeah, we can always use more interest and more entertainment, more content around these parts. But for now, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you again next season. Congratulations to everyone selected. See ya.
Bye.